It's time to break down all of the things that you missed from today's Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Pokemon presentation. Let's dive in. Okay, so if you guys didn't realize, the size of this map is actually insane. This is just a shot of kind of the map and then the starting area, and then you can actually see the full map and just how big this is. One of the leakers had indicated that this map was essentially a little bit bigger than kind of putting all of the different areas from Pokemon Legends Arceus together. Well, let me tell you, it looks like this region is massive, and it has been confirmed once again that you can explore it freely pretty much at any time. We don't know if Koraidon and Miraidon will be restricted in terms of when they can use their different abilities. It seems like probably not. But the one thing is, it was leaked that you could take on the gyms in any order. That was seemingly confirmed today as well. However, it was leaked that they don't scale to your levels. So hopefully that was just a beta thing, because I think that's pretty big. There's also some stuff I want to talk about, which I'll kind of push towards the end of the video, about the new crystallization mechanic. So we'll talk about that, because there's some really cool theories I have regarding that. But we're going to go through the trailer, we're going to break down all the things you might have missed, and much, much more. This was actually a shot from one of the earlier trailers of kind of like the Pokeball Tower, the treehouse, and then this like futuristic kind of dome on the right. I don't know if this is kind of a symbol of the fact that we have these different themes going on, with obviously one of the games being more futuristic and the professors and everything, and one of the games being more kind of in the past. But I don't think there's any time travel because, well, at least for people, because we have this new character, Clavel, who happens to be carrying a Pokemon team with him. I think a lot of people are speculating that maybe Clavel is actually evil. He does have Premier Balls with him, which is interesting, and he has a different outfit based on which game you play. So that kind of leads us to believe that it's set in the same time period rather than one of the professor, or like one time period versus another. So we'll have to wait and see. Now we see that these big kind of towers in the background are really like a point of contention here. A lot of people are speculating these might be like the towers in Legends of Zelda Breath of the Wild, where you can use them as fast travel points, or you can use them as just like a high point in the map to fly from. So that way you always have a place where you can fly off your legendary Pokemon. But I think that they could be like fast travel points, because you're obviously with this open world game, you're gonna want to have fast travel points, much like in Legends Arceus where there was those different camps, but you can settle down with the professor and stuff. So we'll have to wait and see. Now we know all about the gas stations. Of course, they seem to have a couple different functionalities, like a market, a Pokemon Center. Seems like we don't have traditional Pokemon Centers anymore. We have these little gas stations, which is really cool considering the Legendaries, obviously. We do know about the two different schools, which are named after grapes and oranges in Spanish. We see a Psyduck behind the library counter, which may be kind of like Chansey in the Pokemon Center, or maybe Psyduck is just straight up helping out in the library. We saw this shot of a neon sign Meowth at the entrance of this little town, and then there's actually a Greedent in the back, and we're gonna see Squovet later in the trailer as well. Pineco hanging from a tree next to a little Fletchling. That could mean that headbutt mechanics are back, or maybe the same mechanics in Legends Arceus, where you throw your Pokemon out, they bash into a tree, and they knock the Pokemon down. We saw that happen in the previous game. That could be really cool. One thing I will mention, I saw some comments about this, I thought this was worth mentioning, is one of the appealing things to Legends Arceus was that the Pokemon interacted with you as you kind of worked around. You had to sneak up to them, you had to catch them, whatever. In this game, we haven't had any indication that that's going to be the case. So is it going to basically be just like Pokemon Sword and Shield, where you just like run into them and then that's it? Or are they going to interact and run away and do different things? I really hope it's like Legends Arceus, but I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being very similar to kind of what we've had in terms of Sword and Shield in the wild area there. By the way, if you haven't pre-ordered the game yet, I do have a link available at Best Buy to pre-order Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. By pre-ordering through my link, it actually helps me out a ton. It doesn't cost you anything extra. So if you're gonna grab the game anyway, be sure to pre-order it through my link. I'll put it in the description. Thank you to everybody who does that, by the way. It does help out a lot. Pincurchin confirmed, and we've also got this little deli counter with sandwiches. I'm a big sandwich guy. In fact, my mother, or my stepmom, used to call me the Earl of Sandwich. It seems as though sandwiches may be taking the place of curry in this game. Could be an opportunity to feed. We know that there's some kind of thoughts about food in this game. There's a character we'll talk about later who seems to love cooking, so we'll have to see how that all kind of plays in. This ship emblem we saw in a previous trailer does seem to indeed be the gym emblem, and it seems like this is actually the Ice-type gym. We see the battle with the Cetitan, the Ice-type gym, and this seems to have these flags with that emblem. So I think we can pretty much confirm that at this point, that is the gym emblem. Another emblem that we saw a few times is this kind of star symbol. It seems as though there's this location on the map that is like blocked off by a fence. You can see the legendary trying to ride to it and you can't. And then you've actually got this little bus that comes flying by with the flames on it, and that also has the star symbol. So it seems as though this most certainly is probably the evil team, right? Like, I have a good feeling that they're going to be the ones creating some of the conflict in the region, which kind of brings me to my next point. I think that there's definitely a tie in here. We've seen some shots of this. I think they're teasing the evil team, but we know the game is going to go down 3 different adventure paths. That's what they've kind of told us, right? The first one being the traditional gym challenge, and the other 2 we don't know. I think one of them is probably the treasure hunting aspect, because they said treasure hunt like 8,000 times in today's trailers. And then the third one could have something to do with cooking. Maybe it has something to do with this evil team. Maybe the evil team has something to do with the treasure hunting. Maybe something has to do with the new crystallization mechanic. So we'll have to wait and see, but I thought that was worth mentioning with the evil team kind of being involved. So I don't know quite about that. We do have this shot of a bunch of caverns in different locations that you can clearly search through. This could be Victory Road or some sort of path to a Pokemon League, just because that's often a very cave pattern type system in previous games, or could just be nothing else, I don't know. Our rival does have a big Eevee backpack. This was something that was leaked in a previous, or from the leakers actually, that this was our rival. Turns out it looks like it's a hat and not their hair, it seems. So their hair isn't 2 colored, but they have this Eevee backpack. I'm not a big fan of this character personally, but to each their own. We do have the opportunity to do co-op riding, and that could actually be one of the other 3 pieces of the storyline, right? The 3 main paths is some sort of a riding thing, racing, something to do with that, right? Seems like there could be some sort of mechanics around that. It seems like the way you travel in this game with the Legendaries is very key to the story. Rotom Dex does make its return, and one of the teachers actually has some sort of programming or functionality with the Rotom Dex. We have the ability to take all of our Pokemon outside of their Pokeballs. I want to point out this scissor model looks phenomenal, by the way. I gotta say the models in this game do look very polished. The Electros model is probably the best part though. Electros having the dude, Electros got ruined in the last couple games. He just was like a worm or floating in the air. He looks so much better like this, and it kind of takes me back to his original sprite, which in my opinion was so much better. Some Pokemon got ruined by 3D, and this seems to be the redemption arc for Electros. Hippowdon's another one that got ruined by the 3D models, in my opinion. It looks so much more epic back in the day when it was a sprite form. We gotta shout out the fact that there's a scene where Noibat actually evolves into Noivern in the open world, and that's really epic, right? Does this mean that Pokemon just evolve in battle and they just kind of evolve right outside? Does it mean that you can choose to evolve them and they'll evolve outside? Either way, it doesn't really matter. We know that we actually get to see our Pokemon evolve in the world, which I think is cool. There could be an opportunity to evolve your Pokemon in different locations to get cool screenshots and things like that. I think it's a really good feature, and it's nice to see this step forward for the franchise. Raid Den Adventures are back, but they're back with this new crystallization mechanic. So you're in this giant crystal room, there's reflections everywhere. It actually looks really dope. You see a reflection of the kind of the raid Pokemon, and obviously it's gonna factor in the new Terastal mechanic, which I keep messing up the name, and I've tried to avoid saying it because I legitimately just announced a character in my game that I'm developing, Terastal. So the fact that they just announced their mechanic as Terastal is very challenging for me. It's a coincidence. I had made Terastal months and months and months ago, obviously, before I knew this, but it's just a funny coincidence there. So anyway, the crystal raids look really cool. They did mention that in those raids, you don't have to wait for the other players to make their moves and stuff, so maybe they'll be a little bit more fluid and a little bit more fun to do, because it did get really annoying waiting for the other players to make their decisions. We know that the 2 legendaries have different modes. They have the sprinting mode, a drive mode, a swimming mode, an aquatic mode, gliding mode, all sorts of cool stuff. They can climb up mountains, they can do all sorts of stuff. I thought it was funny seeing the doggy paddle from I always get him wrong, Koraidon I think it is, I get him mixed up. The doggy paddle one is pretty sweet. I personally am just Team Violet all the way. I feel like the futuristic vibe is really cool, but I can see why someone would like the other one. My dude's got wheels, but he runs anyway. You can't, you can't make it up. We got Squovit and Poltegeist confirmed for the game, as a handful of other Pokemon. It's worth noting that Sawsbuck was shown multiple times in the trailer with different forms. It's very possible that those Sawsbucks can be scattered throughout the region and maybe aren't seasonal like they were in Black and White, but they just have different forms based on where you find them. It's based on the leaks. We have some information that that's going to be the case for some other Pokemon as well. Rockruff was confirmed through a little screenshot here in front of one of the buildings, so that's nice. Glitch X City posts that we finally have a mini-map, so we do have a way to kind of look at the mini-map and kind of see what's going on around us. I think that's really cool, finally having a mini-map. Kind of reminds me of Pixelmon has a mini-map, and that's a really cool feature, and obviously you're able to see the Pixelmon on the mini-map. I don't think we'll see the Pokemon on the mini-map for this, but it's still really cool. We know the map is huge, as I had mentioned. The Dex entries do look like Pokemon Snap photos, which I thought was cool. Glaxon mentioned that on Twitter. I think that's really neat, and I wonder if you're gonna be able to take screenshots like you were in Pokemon Snap. Seems pretty unlikely, but could be really cool. The co-op mode has a platform that you can go on, and they're really emphasizing the co-op mode in this game. As someone who doesn't have any friends, it's gonna be really tough for me to utilize it, but I think it could be really cool. I just hope that the single play experience is not jeopardized by not playing co-op. That's my only thought on that. The Terra raid battles, which we kind of touched on already, you'll see them as like crystals in the field instead of the raid dens that we saw previously. And that's where you're gonna be able to find specific Terra form Pokemon. So we saw in the trailer, like Drifblim could be flying or it could be fire, Dragonite could be fire, Gardevoir could be fire or water, whatever it is. So it seems as though these Pokemon are gonna be able to have different types of Terra forms. And I do worry how that's gonna play out in competitive. I think it could make things really challenging. If you don't know what your opponent's Terra forms are, like I go into a battle against you and I see your 6 Pokemon team, but I have no idea which one is gonna Terra, like Terastal, or whatever, Terratalize, I don't know what the word is right now. Terastalize. I don't know which one's gonna Terastalize, and then I don't even know what type it's gonna Terastalize into, so it's an interesting mechanic. I mean, it's a lot like gems, right? It's a lot like permanent gems from Generation 5, which was introduced in Black and White, where they would give you like a really powerful attack, but it seems as though you're gonna be able to change your Pokemon to different types. Like, I don't even know if Gardevoir gets a water move, so like, do you even get a bonus from that? I don't know. It's very interesting. I think the mechanic itself is cool. I think it looks dumb, personally. Like, the crystallization looks dope. The hat on their head, I'm not a big fan of, personally. Like, I don't really like it that much. I see how people could like it. I just am not the biggest fan of it. It looks really bad on smaller Pokemon. On bigger Pokemon, it doesn't look terrible. I'm open to seeing the mechanic. I'm not hating on it. I just don't like the little hats they have. I just feel like they could have done something cooler with an aura or something. It does look super cool when an attack happens though, and like the crystals all fly off the Pokemon. That looks really neat to me, but we'll have to wait and see. There is obviously a special Pokeball that you're gonna use, your Terra Orb, in the Paldea region. You have to recharge that, by the way, and there's like these specific little crystals that'll recharge it. I think this screenshot is the crystal. We don't know for sure. It might have just been an ingredient, but I think that's one of them. But either way, it does say that after you Terastalize your Pokemon, your Terra Orb loses its Terastal energy. You won't be able to use it again until it's been recharged. You can charge it from the crystals or at the Pokemon centers. I mentioned earlier there's a character named Arvin. He's an upperclassman. He's good at cooking. Penny is obviously a rival, doesn't like to go to class. You've got a handful of different rivals as well as Nimona, so it seems like they got a little crew, a little group that we had before. In terms of customization, they said that you're kind of stuck with your uniform. You can change things. The exact wording is your hairstyle, freely change your appearance. You can make changes to your eye shape, mouth shape, and more to look the way you want, but I don't think you can change your outfit. It says use all sorts of items to make your uniform fit you, which does align with the leaks. This is so dumb. I'm a 31-year-old man. I don't want to go to school. I realize the games aren't made for me, but still, nonetheless, I feel like the fact that we're stuck in a school uniform seems very meh to me. I hope they fix that in DLC, personally. There was a strange silhouette here. It looks like a Gligar to me. I don't know what it is. You guys might have an idea. Someone caught it on Twitter and they sent it to me. We've got an early purchase bonus for a Pikachu. It knows the move Fly. Its Terra type is Flying. It's got the balloons on it. Very cool. Couple version exclusive. Larvitar and Bagon both confirmed version exclusive. Larvitar in Scarlet, Bagon in Violet, and then Stonejourner and Ice-Q also confirmed version exclusive for both versions of the game. Now, a couple other things I want to talk about. First of all, this video is actually quite long. The first thing is Pikachu's got these little crystals in their heads, right? Dude, it looks like there's eyes in those crystals, man. I don't know, I looked at a bunch of them. It all looks like they have 2 little eyes there. It makes me wonder, is there sort of third legendary? Is there some sort of a mechanic? What's going on with that? Does it tie to a Pokemon that's providing the power for all this? I think that's definitely worth talking about and definitely worth noting, maybe for another video. I also didn't really mention it before, but I'm thinking of it. The map has this very void open area in the middle. Certainly worth noting. What's the deal with that? Some serious questions there. And then looking at the website, couple things. Sea Titan, which is my favorite new Pokemon in the game. It does have the ability Thick Fat or Slush Rush, pure ice type. This thing is a behemoth, dude. 1,500 pounds, 15 feet tall almost. This is a very large Pokemon, and that tells me that the game does not really show Pokemon to scale, right? Which we kind of expected. But nonetheless, Thick Fat Slush Rush, I think it's probably going to have really high attack stat, pretty good defense.
gonna be your standard like physical bulky brawler with low speed, like 50 speed, and then kind of doubles in hail, which is cool. Paldea and Wooper, obviously getting the new regional treatment. I love it. Very good typing, by the way. Poison Ground, which obviously exists like Nidoking. It does have Water Absorb, though, so you're immune to water moves. You absorb Toxic Spikes. You resist Stealth Rocks. From a competitive perspective, this thing might end up being really, really cool. And then the last Pokemon that was revealed was Fido, which is actually a fairy type if you missed that. It has own tempo. I'm not a big fan of it. I like the pun on the name. I get it. It says it has Yeast Breath. I don't know, man. I feel like they're really trying to hit their Mimi Pokemon right now with Fido and Lechonk. I think that's what they're aiming for. I get it. It's cool. But to me, see, Titan is top tier. I'm all about it. It's Wooper Wednesday. That's your breakdown. That's all the things you missed for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's trailer today. Whew, man, I'm almost out of breath. That was a lot to cover, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think those eyes on the crystal are a thing, or am I just crazy? What's with the void in the middle of the map? Any ideas there? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new, and I'll see you guys in the next episode, next video for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and more. Peace.